there. Many thanks for joining us on another edition of The Royalty, our special program for highly referred KBACs, and it's a time for us to, discuss, interact, and interface with the highly referred monarchs. We want to know how far, how well, as a traditional ruler. Today on the program, we are in the palace of the Dagburewe of Idowa, Oba Yunusa Oladele Adekoya, OON, and Justice of Peace, the Agbomagbe II. And in the next couple of minutes, we shall be sharing part of his experience as a first-class monarch in Nigeria. Welcome with me, Oba Yunusa Oladele Adekoya, KBAC. KBAC, checking through your profile, you have a very successful career as a civil servant.
Yes.
And you also successfully retired before you ascended the throne of your forefathers.
Yes.
It is a two different worlds.
Yes.
Can you share a little bit of your experience as a career civil servant before you ascend? I will take that of your ascension later, but let's hear a little bit of your experience as a career civil servant.
When I joined the Federal Civil Service on May 1, 1958, in the Prime Minister's office, and from there I went to the Federal Training Center in Lagos. From there we were sent on bursary to University of Nigeria, Nsukka. And from there, I returned from Nsukka. I was posted as a personal assistant to the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Labor at that time. And that was shortly after I joined before independence, but I'm talking now about post-independence career. When we came back from Nsukka, we were posted to different ministries. I was lucky to have been posted to the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Labor as a personal assistant. And from there we continued. I continued the service. I got into the executive class. From the executive class I went to the administrative class. And from there, during the Udoji Commission, administrative class was reorganized, and I entered the directorate level of the Federal Civil Service, where I retired and came back to Idowa to ascend the throne of my forefathers. But in the Federal Civil Service, I traveled a lot, extensively. When you name it, England, Germany, France, United States of America, Egypt, Kenya, the Nordic countries, Norway, Sweden, and there is still another country in that, Norway, Sweden, Denmark.
That's a very serious globe-trotting.
Yes, it was all on official duties. Yes, particularly when I entered the administrative class. We were going up and down to go and do, either you do fact-finding, particularly in the areas of aviation, in the areas of management services, and so on and so forth. And I even went to, in the Ministry of Labor, I went to the International Labor Conference in Geneva, 1963, 1964, 1965. So anything about labor matters, I was able to master some of them. But in the civil service, properly, I served in the Udoji Commission of 1973 and the Williams and Williams report on Udoji Commission 1974-75. I was a member of the task force. We look into the areas of restructuring the service, giving new nomenclatures to different work levels and so on and so forth. And we did a lot of work in reorganizing the civil service as at that time. I know many reforms had taken place since we left, but it is work ongoing. That is how it should be in any developed and organic organization. So I think, and more importantly, I was a member of the National Council on Establishments, going up and down the country to look into the conditions of service, to harmonize them, that each state synchronized with that of the federal, so that everybody will be at the same level. When you bring the same qualification to the service, you have to be remunerated on the same level. So we were doing that all over Nigeria. If it is the turn of Sokoto State, we move from Lagos to the place for about a week. We go to the east, we go to the north, we come to the southwest here, which is either Ibadan and yes, Ibadan. It used to form the center for such an organization. And there is another council, National Negotiating Council, an industrial, normally in those days they call it Whitley Council, but it was changed after independence.
Okay.
From Whitley Council to negotiating councils. We have three. Negotiating Council 1, Negotiating Council 2, Negotiating Council 3, which that 3 was for the industrial people who are working in the, who are more or less technical, not technical in the civil service.
Oh, okay.
Like the drivers, like the mechanics, like all other cadres that are related to but technical, which you use some sort of calculation before you get your result,
okay,
and the applicability of them to your work. So we were doing that.
You are more or less an expert when it comes to issues relating to labor.
Oh yes,
and productivity.
Yes. I used to laugh when the people say that this and that. I said, well, there are brighter brains now who could get the thing done, but in those days it was real hectic for people. Yeah.
Kabesi,
Yes.
There's one aspect of that, your narration, that caught my fancy, which I want to.
Yeah.
You said you were appointed into the office of the Prime Minister.
Yes.
All right. Which means you will have seen the microcosm of Nigeria at that time.
Oh yes.
What kind of Nigeria did you actually see at that time? How did you see Nigerians from that particular opportunity you had working in the office of the Prime Minister?
Yes. Well, you cannot compare that particular time with this time, because it was the colonial people that were ruling us then. They were all in the secretariat at that time, Broad Street. How many Nigerians were there? You can talk about Michael Ani, you can talk about Mr. Emi Tukumbo, Stanley Olabode, and Baba Adebo himself. He was there before he went to the Western region.
Okay.
He was in the secretariat at that time. And the way the Nigerians worked, those who were at the top, oh, they worked very hard. They worked very hard, and with due respect, you cannot compare those who worked at that time with those who are working now. Even though majority of those who are working now, some of them they are highly educated, PhD chaps, and so on and so on. But at that time, it is majority of them were trained locally. They were trained locally, and they were really the job. They were really the job at the time they were doing it. If you see the way they work, you will be wondering what is happening now. But don't forget that the population at that time wasn't as high as the population now.
No. Okay.
And the government at that time, they were more or less engaged in what we call it now. They are after law and order.
Okay.
But now, what you are dealing with is all spheres of human endeavor. You must have developmental programs and how you have to implement your policies and programs. So the two sides, they are not all that comparable, because those were really those were the days when they imposed. They were after what we call it, law and order. And but now it is how to fix roads, water, health, education, infrastructure, which the present governments all over the country are doing. And that wasn't the case at that time.
Okay.
So, and the budget at that time was not as heavy as what you have now.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Okay. All right, Kabiyesi, I want to know from you, when you started thinking about the possibility of your becoming the next Dagburewe, was it while you were still in the service, or it was after you retired that your people now decided to say, oh, okay, we have a successful son who is also a prince? How did it come about?
Well, thank you for that question. Very interesting question. And I have interesting answer to the question.
That's why we are in the palace.
Yes. Well, people started calling me Oba when I was at the age of 15. Calling me Oba, 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 Oba. I never thought about Obake. What do you mean by that? Even I knew two Obas in this town. Both reigned 27 years each. His Royal Highness Oba S.A. Adebonojo, Dagburewe of Idowa, his photograph is there. Then the last one that I took over from Baba E.A. Olaneye, the Dagburewe of Idowa, they were calling me Oba, Oba, Oba until when I got to Lagos, the thing got pronounced by everywhere you go, Oba, Oba. I will let you know this. In the Island Club, where I'm still a member, some of them never knew my surname, some members.
Interesting.
As Oba come to this club today, who did you see him, this and that? The thing started like that. And it became an household name in this town. When the vacancy occurred, I thought it would be smooth sailing. That since I've been called Oba and I belong to the next ruling house, I'm just going to take it just like that. It was not so. I had a very close friend of mine. Two of us slugged the thing out. Unfortunately for me, it came to my side. So that is how the story went.
And I don't think that the two previous Kabiyesis that
Yes.
were referring to you as Oba were probably indirectly making some prophecy that eventually
Yes,
manifested.
it was the one I took over from, who told me that one of my uncles, he was not on his side over land matters. over stool land matters, that it's better I should go and warn him that when the thing returned to our house, it won't be pleasant for him. So the man first hinted me, and secondly, when he was giving out chieftaincy titles to my colleagues, friends in the town, he called me. He said, so. He won't be able to give me chieftaincy. Omoba Okinjoye, Ototumba Nonje. And I said so. And I asked him, sir, what were you referring to? He said, well, you are likely to become the Dagburewe of this town. And so go and warn your uncle to stop what he's doing against the institution of the ownership in the town vis-a-vis the land matters, two land matters. So when he told me that, then I became conscious of myself. And immediately he died. Then I ran home, asked my people what was going on, and they said, well, if you want to, we are ready for you. That was how the thing started. And we dragged the thing for a long time. But like I said, fortunately, with the God's grace, the thing came to me. And no victor, no vanquished. Yes. Those who, the person who actually fought the race with me, we are friends up till this afternoon. I've even called him some couple of minutes ago before your arrival that something had arrived in the town and I would like to do something in this direction, which he thanked me and he laughed over it. So we are very friendly.
Perhaps the ancestors of Idowa were actually behind the process.
Yes, they were the ancestors. they were with us. They are still with us.
Okay.
Yes.
Kabesi.
Yes.
I would like to know how many ruling houses you have in
Idowa.
Yes.
We have 4 ruling houses.
Okay.
Namely, my own Agbomagbe ruling house. Then the next one, when I depart this planet, is an Oneyo ruling house. The next one to me now. Then the one that followed it is Agbejoye house at the Bonojo. The last one is the man I took over from, Arijeloye ruling house. I will let you know about this. We have 4 gates when you approach this palace.
Yes.
It was my innovation that I will put 4 gates in front of this palace as at the fence there. Agbomagbe is the biggest gate there. It belongs to me, my ruling house. Then three other ruling houses, they have their gates.
Okay.
There. It's an innovation. Because in future, if you come here and you say that there is another ruling house, people will ask you, where do you get that one? Go and look at those gates. If you are not part of any of the gates there, you are not.
You are not existing.
You are not even part of the ruling houses in Idowa here. So it was an innovation that many people loved when I did it, and that is that we have 4 ruling houses.
All right, Kabesi. Kabesi.
Yes.
One thing is very common in Yoruba culture,
yes,
when it comes to the process of appointment of Kabesi.
Yes.
Many times the elders of the town approach the Ifa priests in the
Yes.
town and all of that. Did you also go through this?
Well, there are two school of thoughts about Ifa divination.
Okay.
Because why I'm saying this is that one school of thought believes, and tenaciously for that matter, that Ifa cannot talk. It is the diviner who does his trade that will interpret to you or interpret to me that Ifa says that don't go to Ijebuode today. It is not those objects he puts on that small plate that will tell you that, please don't go to Ijebuode. He will interpret to me what he sees and what the Ifa tells him to tell me. That's one school of thought. Another school of thought believes, and rightly or wrongly for that matter, that since that Ifa cannot talk, he will not believe what he's saying. You see, in my own case, nobody went for Ifa at all. It was at the convocation of members of the ruling house that got together, and they believed that this man should go for it. At that meeting, another branch of the family said that this man should go for this thing. You know, we are two candidates now.
Yes.
The thing that was done was that the two of us were sent to the kingmakers for because they have their own statutory legal jobs to do on the selection of candidates.
Yeah.
They either put a candidate or candidates and they go to ballot. In our own case, we went to ballot and I had the highest number of votes. So that was it.
It means you and that's your
friend
are also qualified.
Oh yes, yes. In order to avoid unnecessary friction, bickering, this and that, the family decided to send the two of us to the kingmakers.
Obviously, having listened to that, that's an interesting part of culture that you have just explained, how you managed to sort out accession to the throne without controversies.
Yes.
And I must give kudos to the whole royal family, the entire Idowa, and for making it an easy task. Now, before you ascended the throne,
yes,
you have visited all the continents of the world.
Oh yes.
Now you found yourself as a royal father in your community,
yes,
where perhaps there will be some do's and don'ts in terms of where you can go, where you cannot go.
Yes.
How did you actually come to terms with the new status of a monarch from a vibrant civil servant that had traversed so many places?
Well, I don't think there is anywhere that one can quote as taboo for any Oba. For example, in my hometown here, we don't have, even though we have so many festivals, and we have so many areas that one could say could be regarded as taboo for an Oba not to visit. But in my hometown here, we don't have that type of place. We don't have. And from what I saw abroad, the issue of Obaship in particularly in Yoruba land, I think had been fashioned many years before our forefathers even saw those who were expatriates. As a result, if you visit UK, you see where the Buckingham Palace is. If you go to Denmark, yes, Denmark, you see where their king and the queen, where they live, and so on and so forth. But here, if I get your questions correct, there is nowhere I believe that Obas should not visit. But there are some who believe that an Oba should not be in this place, should not be in that place, should not be in that. But in our own case here, we don't have that inhibition at all. You can visit. The only thing you cannot do is to go to the burial of any person, Oloba Onruku. So that is still, it's still on. I think particularly here.
So your transformation from civil service life to that of monarch was easy for you. Is that what you are saying?
Yes, it's very easy for me because I used to be a club person in Lagos. But here now, I've curtailed that type of movement.
And you didn't miss any of those things?
I missed it, but as somebody who is in charge of a place, your leadership must not be tortuous. It must be stable. It must be stable to see you that day. For example, if you relish in going to clubs, at times you may be lured into what you are not supposed to do in the public. So that is a dent on your own image. You can't compare the image I had when I was a very, very serious civil servant and club person, yes, to now now that I'm an Oba. For example, you can see me eating in the public now. If you call me to any of your functions or any of the Obas to your functions, at least you have to prepare a very secluded place for him if you really want him to enjoy your place, or you leave him where he sits outside, and by the time he finishes, he goes away. So that is that is the difference I see from coming to this type of position vis-a-vis what happened in the past. So I think that is it.
Yes. Well, there's one particular aspect of this your position in relation to other KBACs or Alailuas in Ijebu. Before I come back to Idowa proper, most times it's often seen that you have always been the one that represents them. What's the relationship?
Well, I will tell you. The first Dagburewe, who founded this place in 1540 AD, who founded this place was the 13th Awujale. He was sick when he was on the throne at Ijebuode there. And they had to persuade him to leave the throne, to go outside the town, to go and take care of himself, And he moved out from Ijebuode with his entourage to go to Mobile Fondere, where he calmed himself, and he was able to manage his illness and became very well, ready to go back to his throne at Ijebuode. When they decided to do that, they moved again from where he was camped to take care of himself back to Ijebu. On getting to Imekwe, along Ejene Road there, he met very many people with his junior brother. His own junior brother, his name is Ajuwakale. He asked the brother to help him see the throne, oversee the throne, while he was away to take care of himself. But by the time he was ready to get to back, when he got to Imekwe, he met many people with his brother. And the brother and his people said that he should go back to where he was coming from and go and resettle himself there. Good. Then their mother intervened that, look, if you wanted to do that, two of you, put all the paraphernalia of office, about 32 beaded crowns, divide them into two, and we have something we call okutes. Okutes are the effigies of past obas that again were divided into two. His senior brother carried his own. He started moving downwards to this side. The brother went back to the throne. At the end of it all, that man, Owatutubiosun, came down to this place. We have a groove there where he settled down with his people. And after 3 days of his arrival in the town, he called the people he brought from Ijebu that he would like to celebrate that 3rd day of his arrival. That culminated in our own, what we call, Ereno festival in Idowa here.
Very interesting.
Yes. If you look at that photograph there, that is how I always appear at every Ereno festival. The photograph is there.
You should tell us more about that.
Yes, and that is me there dancing. Look at it. That is my full regalia. Anytime I want to celebrate our anniversary, festival, it's always at the end of March. They had covered this Ereno festival. So when at that 3rd day, he celebrated Ereno festival, and he said that he will give his name, Dagburewe. Ure is vast of acres of land, empty.
Okay.
And the position of the Dagburewe at that time went as far as from this place to Ikorodu. Up till now, Idowa has 18 towns and villages, including Egbi, even Agbowa inclusive. We have many of them there. Many of the towns there and villages. So that is Awujale and Dagburewe. They are from the same umbilical lineage.
Very interesting.
Yes. That alone might have prompted the Awujale to be very close to us, and we are very close to Ijebu.
We're still at the palace of the Dagburewe of Idowa, and the program is still the royalty. We shall be taking a short break. When we come back, we'll be asking Kabesi more about the culture of the land and how he has been managing his people.
Kábíyèsí wa èèyàn gidi ni, èèyàn tó dání, ó kọ́mọdé jọ, ó kágbà jọ, kò ń ṣolúwa jákujáku, ìlú wa dẹ̀ ń lọ sẹ́p dáadáa, kò sí problem, kò sí wàhálà fún wa Ìdọ̀wà.
The Kábíyèsí is a good answer, and the Kábíyèsí knows his people and he knows the tradition. But in sincerity, the beauty is the culture the culture that we are fast losing in the western part of Nigeria. So it is something that you can appreciate. Every dance has a meaning. It's not just dancing. There is a meaning to it and there's a reason. And I think Kabiyesi is actually doing very well too.
Pàtàkì ni wọ́n ọlọ́run làwa fi mi ṣọ́ọ̀bù táwa Dagburewe lónìí àwọn náà la ọwọ́ wọn láti gbà kò dẹ̀ sí problem wọn ò ní wá lára èèyàn dáadáa ni wọ́n problem àsìkò wọn ó sàn wá sí rere ó dẹ̀ tù wá lára eku ń ké bí eku ẹyẹ ń ké bí ẹyẹ ọmọ èèyàn ń fọhùn bí ọmọ èèyàn sí wàhálà.
Welcome back. The program is still The Royalty, and we are in the palace of the Dagburewe of Idowa, Oba Yunusa Oladele Adekoya, Agbomagbe II, and the Dagburewe of Idowa. Kabiyesi,
Yes.
Before we went on break, we talked a little bit about some aspect of your traditional activity, which is the Erenode.
Yes.
All right. We'll still talk more about that because I normally see that yearly event as very interesting.
Yes.
I have also been here before for that event. But let's look at Kabiyesi and his Council of Chiefs.
Yes.
What is the structure of administration traditionally in Idowa?
When I assumed the throne of this town, I met some very old chiefs.
Okay.
Few of them were not literate. I decided to install my chiefs, and I had the opportunity of selecting very, very active men of substance and women of substance too, in Lagos in particular. And we constituted what we call Dagburewe in Council. That Dagburewe in Council, they serve as a think tank for me in whatever I wish to do for the town. And we hold our meetings very regularly, as and when I believe that we should hold a meeting and I have anything very important to put across to them and gain their own concurrence. Because when you talk in terms of how to fund projects, you can't leave them behind because the others can't do it alone. They know many people outside the town, and they always ask them to contribute to the development of our town here. So we have a Dagburewe in Council, which is at present functioning very well, very, very well.
How many are these?
We are about 36. We have there are 3 kind of chiefs in Idowa here.
Okay.
Particularly in Ijebu land. You have the Lamure chiefs, you have the Oshubo Society, then you have the Pampas, the Okweres. I lumped them up with the Otumbas when I constituted that, and we have Otumbas, we have chiefs. And do each group, they know which area they can dabble into. If you are an Ilamure chief, you can't be talking about Oshubo Society group because they worship in their conclave.
Okay.
So, and the Okweres, that is the Pampas, they are more or less the young men, with useful exuberance. They still have to go around up the yes at Abuja, yes, Ibadan, Abeokuta, Lagos, and so on and so forth, and in the town here. So those 2 group of chiefs, we work in unison, and I preside at our meetings. That is how I structured that.
Beyond the Ereno Festival,
Yes.
which other cultural
We have them here. We have what they call Agbo. Agbo yẹn, agbo.
Yes.
Is not for the town per se, but for some houses in the town.
Okay.
They worship Agbo Muluku, that is, they worship something like the sea,
Okay.
this and that. So we have Agbo festival here. It is done yearly too,
Okay.
but no time. When they fix it, they will officially write me. That's my own instruction.
Okay.
You can't just come and tell me something from the blues. No, I don't do that. You write me officially, I convey your approval to you. Because if anything happens, you don't write me, I'll just tell you I don't know anything about it. They know that in the town here. Then we have Oro, which is very, very sensitive in Yoruba land. Tendency is very ripe for those boys to go and put the thing outside in the night and be making noise in the town. I don't allow it. And the government too does not even allow it. There was a time we were instructed that before you stage any Oro in any town, you must get approval from the ministry. So when you do that, and they do it, then it can go, because these people, when they go out in the night, they can commit anything that will not be palatable to the town, to the Oba, and to embarrass those they are not supposed to embarrass. That is why we control that of Oro. I control it here.
But
The issue that women cannot come out, this and that is in the night. And we don't do what they call Isemo. Idowa doesn't do it. That is because people should not come out in the afternoon. We don't do it in our town here. Our own Oro comes out in the midnight.
okay, before you mention the other ones,
Yeah,
I just
yes.
want a clarification.
Yes,
Because in so many Yoruba towns,
Yes.
communities, many a times whenever they want to seek the face of the ancestors, or they
Yes.
want to appease one
Yes.
god or the other,
yes,
they normally use Oro, the traditional Oro.
yes.
I don't know whether you're saying that the Idowa doesn't consult or appease.
No. There is nothing like Oro is something that is used. Many people don't know. Oro is something that is used to cleanse your town.
Okay.
And if you want to clean the town,
Yes.
it must be in the night when people are already asleep.
Okay.
Not in the afternoon. When you say you want to do Oro in the afternoon, are you going to close the market? Are you going to stop people going to the general hospital? Are you going to stop the children going to their schools?
Okay, I can get your point, sir.
Yes, that is why in Idowa here, there is nothing like Isemo. You can't do it. I won't allow it.
Okay. So let's talk about the other cultural.
Yes, you have Jigbo. Jigbo is, I will describe it for you, maybe you don't know. They will bring palm fronds, away. They will use it as cloth
Okay.
in their body. There are two types. The green one, they come in the afternoon, in the morning. They are very, that group, they are not as rascally or what shall I, as those we call Katanipo. Katanipo, you know, any palm tree has two leaves.
Yes.
The yellowish one and the
Green one.
green one. The green one, they come out in the morning. But in the afternoon, Katanipo comes out in the afternoon. They chase girls. They chase girls.
Maybe those ones
Especially those girls that have been very stubborn to them. They use that their cane to flog this and that. But for some time in those days, it was common, but now you dare not do it. Yes, you dare not. That's Jigbo. Then we have Ekpo. Ekpo comes out in the evening, in the night, but it's not for anything rather than for amusement.
Okay.
No, it's just amusement. They use banana leaves to cover themselves. They come out, and especially during the moonlight. During the moonlight, they come out, display everything in the quarters, quarters, and then they recede back to their houses after they finish. That's Ekpo. Then I've talked about Oro. Egun.
Okay.
We have Egun Idowa here, but it's peculiar to about 4 or 5 houses in this town.
Okay.
Though they've tried to generalize it, and I used to cover my face that I don't see them. But where they make mistake, I will quickly draw their attention that you are not a member of that house. Why are you in this dress? Why? Why are you? Yes, we want to.
You don't want to see Egungun? Is it a taboo?
It's not a taboo. What I'm trying to explain is that in the town here, they stage Egungun festival.
Yes.
But it's not a thing that Idowa, the whole entire Idowa, cherish. Because why I'm saying this is only 4 or 5 houses that they are involved in it. But they have a group now. They call themselves Oje or something like that festival.
That's the leaders of Egungun.
Oh yes.
Okay.
And they stage it in the town. Very, very interesting. And as long as they don't quarrel, they don't fight, they are all my sons and sons. So we have Egungun.
Yes, Kabiyesi, just a little bit more about Ereno. And the reason why I am interested in that is that Kabiyesi always come out in a very unique costume.
Yes.
Is that costume peculiar with some historical?
Oh yes.
Okay, maybe you give us a brief about that.
Because if you the Oba who genuinely has what we call the originating shrine in his hometown must have to worship that shrine. And when you want to worship that shrine, you must be in your full regalia. And in our own case here, it's been like that since they came from Ijebuode to this place. Yes.
So Ereno Festival is as old as...
It's as old as 1540. And I had seen the relics of some of these regalia, because it's all beads throughout, with the headgear, crown, then that one. It has shoe. It has its own shoe.
You've stayed quite long on the throne here.
Yes.
And
going to 29 years.
Going to 29 years.
Yes.
So that's quite a long time. And I pray that God will still keep you longer on this throne.
Amen.
How will you describe your people in this community? When you ascended the throne, were they the supportive type? How have you been managing?
My people are very wonderful people. They love me. They love me in this town. Not that I'm just trying to play together. No. If I leave this place now, if I enter my car, before I get to my house, people will be calling Alaye. And if I go during the school, after the school time,
Yes.
and that is how you can judge whether a number is acceptable in a town or not. Even up to 2-year-old girls, you will see them kneeling down very near the road. You will know that something is happening in this town. I give you one example. A colleague of ours, Oba, I won't mention the name, he was using a blue Mercedes-Benz car. I was using a blue Mercedes-Benz car. He came into the town. Immediately he entered the town. They started shouting, Alaye.
Okay, they thought that's
They thought that car was mine. When the man got to my house down there, he asked of me. They said, no, Kabisi is at another quarter there. Somebody entered the car to take him to where I was. Immediately he entered the car, they started shouting again. In that quarter where he came to meet me. When he got me, he asked me, he said, these are the very wonderful people in this town, that if he entered his own town, nobody will even know that he entered, and so on. And I said, well, that's my people. I must confess to you, they love me in this town. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Kabesi, Alailuwa,
Yes.
that's very interesting. That
Yes.
in the community here,
Oh.
people will always come around to hail Kabesi. We can't have a program of this nature without taking your message to your people.
Since I came to the throne, going to 29 years now, they've cooperated with me a lot in the areas of developing this town and raising the standard of living of our people. I will still appeal to them that they should not relent in their efforts in seeing that what our forefathers left behind were all improved upon by me through their own cooperation. And lastly, I will add that while they are striving hard with the harsh economic period we are, they should continue to endeavor to see that they train their children who are going to be our leaders in future, and they should not neglect their own either paternal or maternal responsibility to their people. And once again, I thank my people for the support I have received over the years, their love, kindness, assistance, cooperation, and may God of our ancestors be with all of us. Thank you very much.
It has been an interesting conversation with Kabesi Alailuwa Oba Yunusa Oladele Adekoya, Agbomagbe II, the Dagburewe of Idowa. We have heard so many things about this great community. We have also seen or heard the relationship between Dagburewe and Awujale of Ijebuland, because many people will always want to ask, why is it Dagburewe that always stand in for Awujale at any public function where it is needed? Well, we must thank Kabesi for giving us his time, and I must say that I've also been thoroughly educated about some of the background of this great community. I want to thank Kabesi once more for his time. And I also want to thank you out there, wherever you are watching this program at this time. And next week will be another time that will be in another palace of another Alailuwa. Until then, I leave you in the hands of Almighty God. Bye-bye.